What I'm thinking is, if we're going the route of getting to know the townsfolk so that once they all start getting horrifically murdered and it's more impactful, let's build 3 really strong characters for him to like relate with the most.
My input would be there should be some older like father figure type character that maybe like he goes into the bar. Oh, maybe it could even be like the bar. No, because he's the archangel. Maybe it could be like in the bar.
So he's not interfering.
Well,
he's not part of it.
The bartender would be the one listening to everybody's problems.
Exactly. And so what I'm thinking is that could be like this father character that gives advice.
Or basically it could be Eve as in disguised as a bartender, and she tries to lure him to do like the stuff that he's not supposed to get out of purgatory, and then she kind of becomes a love interest.
Yeah, you could. I mean, she wouldn't lead to do it because this whole thing kind of just goes down. So the person is supposed to die. The characters that we're coming up with, so she's supposed to die. So she couldn't really lead him down it. But I like the general idea of having this kind of like Eve character. I like that because then also Eve is the prototypical.
That would fit into the femme fatale.
Yeah, and then Eve is the prototypical like beautiful woman, etc. You know, femininity, etc.
Yeah, seductress.
Yeah, exactly. So I agree that it's just that she couldn't necessarily lead him down past.
So she runs the whorehouse. She's the madam.
She's the madam. Okay. Yeah, that works.
I mean, this is the Old West, right? So,
yeah.
Okay.
Let me make sure that I got these ones written down. So for the sake of naming it, we'll call one Eve, Madam. Then we have the bartender. What do we want to name this guy?
I don't know off top. You know, any ideas?
Gulchy McGillicuddy?
No. Absolutely not.
JC.
I'll name him.
Maybe we make Lucifer a good guy and he's the bartender.
Oh, okay, his name's Lucy. Just call him Lucy. Yeah, the bartender. His name's Lucy.
That was the name of our madam in the
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
On.
You're fucking lying to me
right
now. I don't remember.
Her name is Lucy.
I don't remember that at all. So.
We'll just call him Jacob. Once we flesh out these characters and kind of give them all their details on why they relate to main character, which we have to name the main character as well, then we'll go into right down here, we're going to say the fashion in which they're murdered. And it'll have to relate with their character or with their bond.
Yeah, we can have fun with how they die.
Yeah. Okay, try to say that and sound less excited. Okay, do we want little girl or little boy?
Marvel has too many little girls now.
I didn't realize we were in the MCU.
I know, right?
No,
yeah, I'm glad Disney picked this up. That's great. Yeah, I mean, I know. Again, yeah, it's just hard because there's a lot of Western things.
Innocence? We can go with innocence.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can go for that. Yeah.
Death of Innocence.
What did you say?
Okay. Because of the fact that we had, nope, I got it. We do both. They're twins. One boy, one girl.
Yeah, I fuck with that.
Okay, and that can be that thing you were talking about. That like, although some of those details might change, but the idea that something that pushed him over the edge in his past life was having his children taken from him.
Okay. Oh yeah, I think we mentioned that.
We can have kiddos.
Okay. No, that works out.
But like a boy and a girl.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Didn't we go in?
Oh, we have an even
that's right.
split.
We did go into the fact that like his wife killed the kids or whatever, and then that sent him over. I think we went into that last episode, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So my comment on that is that we shouldn't go too deep on that
we shouldn't.
because we don't necessarily need to know why he became a serial killer. The only reason why I would be wary of using Mary is because it's a far more on the nose one, I think.
So is Jacob.
Just Mar. How about M-A-R? Just Mar.
No. Yeah, we don't.
Mags. M-A-G-S.
Yeah, what isn't there a character in the Bible that like when Jesus was hung on the cross, wasn't there like a Maggie or something like that?
Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. Mary Magdalene. We'll call her Maggie.
Call her Maggie.
Yeah. Oh, this turns into like a biblical mission.
Absolutely.
Where all the disciples are like spies and they're trying to prevent the crucifixion. Wow,
that would be a hell of a story.
Blasphemous, but a pretty cool movie. Trying to think if there's any. Ruth is an easy one. Okay, so we got Maggie, Abe, Jacob, and Ruth. These are twin children. Maggie, the madam. We can go into how it is that they end up meeting, but what are we thinking for what is their dynamic like?
Right. You can easily just say something along the lines of like he either one doesn't have a recollection of his father, or two he thinks he never knew his father, and you could have them bond on something along those lines if they never had like somebody to lead them or guide them in a certain way.
Can you see these right here on your view?
Yeah. Oh, serial killer, homeless, insecure. Okay. Yeah.
I'm thinking we probably pick up with insecure.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
The insecurity is how she becomes a bit of like a motherly figure of comfort and.
Well, and also you could say something along the lines of the insecurity is what drives her to be a whore to a certain extent. There's a certain amount of validation that it is by having men want you sexually so much that they'll pay you for it, right? So.
Insecurity is what kind of like brings them together, I guess. I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I get what you're getting at. Yeah, it could even be something like it could be it could like be something. This doesn't have to be it, but it could be something like like he has like something that he's insecure about when it comes to like maybe it could even both of them have an insecurity about their looks to a certain extent or something along those lines, and then they bond over that type of thing, etc. But yeah, any type of insecurity for the most part is a pretty easy thing to bond over for sure.
Okay, so now we're moving on to Abe. So I guess this is father character, father figure, I guess.
So I think that for Abe, it's going to be more of just the thing where he naturally has some wisdom, and then he naturally tends to guide people while they're sitting at the bar. And so I think that either one, like, he can be a character that our character returns to, like for information or wisdom, etc. And then that thing of just him naturally giving out that wisdom, and then him needing that wisdom, our character needing that wisdom. That's kind of what bonds them together.
I like it. Okay, we got that. Now we come to the chillins, them kiddos. I'm even thinking that they could be representative of innocence, and not childlike innocence like a lot of these things are, but a time in, like, basically the time in which he was innocent and not yet this unhinged.
Okay, cool. No, I think that's a good idea.
So it's a connection to this like better part of his past.
Okay,
yeah, I like that.
Oh, and then it's almost like the what's it called? Divine femininity and ultimate masculinity or whatever, right? That's another thing that the children can kind of somewhat imply, is that both people have two pieces of them. Nobody is exactly masculine or exactly feminine. So he has this caretaking piece, right? And maybe the boy kind of is that, and he's this masculine figure. And then the other side, the girl, represents his more like need for being taken care of, or, naturing aspects, things like that.
Nice. Okay. Well, now we're in for the fun part. Let's kill him. I don't even know if there's going to be a physical murderer to catch.
I think let's move to Abe real quick, because I think I have a decent idea for Abe. I think that Abe should have his tongue ripped out.
But if he's not coming to terms with his sins, he would essentially no, I didn't do this. So he's going to find anybody else to blame for it.
Oh, you could have
that's
that,
why he
but
gets
I don't think
this
there
guy.
needs to be another guy. He can just try to blame other people, right? Like when he's going through
There's not just going to be 5 people in this town.
It's not going to be a big town. There's old western towns
only had... these are just like the 3 main.
Yeah, but there will probably be like what 20 to 25 people or something.
There's going to be a couple minor characters, but these are the 3 like the big 3 that when their deaths happen, it's like the big turning points in the story. Because gore is fun. When Abe is found, his like jaw is like hanging
all
down
of these people should be mutilated horribly. Like I'm serious. All these people should be mutilated horribly. Yeah. Okay.
You
great.
call me crazy?
This is like 7 if it was a western.
Yeah. Well, also, I remember there's one Western movie. I remember one scene. The only scene I remember from most Western movies, for whatever reason, there was this dude sitting in a like outhouse or whatever and these bandits came over and just like gunned him down with an insane amount of bullets while he's sitting on the shitter and reading a newspaper.
Oh, that's so mean.
But yeah, and then so I think that Abe being the first one to die is good, because also I think that having that character that's giving the wisdom also would be a little bit too much of a guide for him during this whole process of figuring out this detective thing. So having him go first would be good.
Right. Like in Daredevil season 3, Wilson Fisk talks about basically robbing Poindexter of his North Star, his guiding light.
Yeah.
And so if that's the first person that dies, that acts as a really good transition to Act 2, where it's all of a sudden like, okay, snap, now he's basically on his own with what little wisdom he was given. And he can have some of what he was given guide him, but he's going to have questions that no one else can answer but Abe.
Okay,
so that's awesome.
Are we gonna sit there and do the Cronenberg and show the kids murdered?
I mean, you got to, right? You can't be a
to.
pussy about it. You got to go for it.
Sorry, who's producing this movie? Is it Disney, or are we getting like Paramount?
No, it's Smokin Sessions in tandem with Disney. And you know what they said? They said go for it. So we're just gonna run with Disney money.
We're killing kids today.
No, that is a clip. Okay, don't look dastardly after you just said that.
So
Jesus.
Maggie is the last one to die then.
Well, it could be, yeah. Okay, that would be interesting.
She's Mary, right? Or
well, yeah.
Mary
So
Magdalene,
yeah. I think that actually her dying last would work because one, she is kind of the character, like on the underlying aspect that moved this all forward, right?
Would it make sense for Maggie to die last, or would it be the kids to die last because that's the last hold he has on his innocence thematically?
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Yeah, I can understand. I think both work, but I think that works a little bit better.
The possibility that these kids could be murdered.
I mean, we're going to have multiple character deaths because these are only the major characters that are killed. There's going to be minor ones.
Yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense.
But what we could do is we could lump to drive home the point of like the mother and the children aspect from his own past. We could have Maggie, Jacob, and Ruth all be found in the same place, whether it be the prison cell or like a gulch or like outside in the wilderness somewhere.
So that makes sense.
The big moment.
The very spot that he was found outside the town is where they find the body.
I like that. Actually, that could work. That could be interesting. Okay, but it depends on how far out he is from the town.
Right outside the town is where they buried because that's the spot that he was found.
I just had a really terrible visual in my head.
Oh no.
Give it to me.
Okay.
Give it to me.
I might have to bleep it, and the only way people will know what I'm saying is that we'll write it down, and they'll just have to look right here in a couple seconds. So I want a shot where they find the bodies outside of the town. Maggie is killed in a different fashion than the kids, but what we do is we have a shot or a
Okay. That would be very graphic, but we're here. We're doing it.
But how do they die, though? Because they're buzzards. So, but what is the original way that they die? Vultures are just a really cool Western visual.
Do we allude to the way that they died from the mother's hand, or no?
No, because...
I think you'd kind of have to a certain extent, because we're doing it for all the other ones to a certain extent.
I think I've cracked it.
Go for it.
It could be that the scene that they see has played out. The one that he comes to understand is essentially one of the last pieces to the puzzle. Is that Maggie? She has some sort of injuries.
Okay.
And she has like an old 6-shooter type thing, and she turns it on the kids so that they can die quickly and painlessly before whoever is after them. Because then you could have the implication that in his previous life, that is what the wife did, was protecting the kids from whatever the father, was going to do to them when he became unhinged. So that changes up the origins of how he snaps.
So,
but having that be like the...
I like that, but what if we do a little bit of a, like, the purgatory thing is going to be light, but what if we do a little bit of a switcheroo with that? So essentially, because, I know, Shutter Island, of course, is what I've been thinking this entire time. I understand there's implications of that. However, you remember Shutter Island, obviously, Tim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Okay, what if the whole time, the implication, of course, is still that the mom or Maggie killed them, and you could even have little hints, like Maggie says something like, "Oh, I never wanted kids," or something along those lines. You know what I mean? Things like that kind of add up, and then there's some piece of the puzzle that once he realizes it or sees it or finds it and adds it up in his head, then he starts to understand that no, this is turned on me. So that way, there is still a little bit of a twist and a switcheroo that's a little bit more in your face, but you can still have all those underlying thematic elements.
Gotcha. So, in layman's terms, say all that over again.
Okay. So, essentially, throughout the film, Maggie
just
says
for the sake
things...
of whiteboard.
So throughout the film, for example, Maggie says things such as, like, "Oh, I never wanted kids." And there are certain implications to where it's kind of implied that either she doesn't like kids, doesn't want kids, or there's something that she has, against these children for whatever reason, right? Implying to a certain extent that she's going to be the one that takes them out if they're taken out. However, then there is some piece of the puzzle that is found out that then in the character's head adds up to where he realizes, oh no, this is me that did this. And maybe it can be like Jason mentioned earlier, he's not going, even if the puzzle is adding up to him, he's not going to admit that right away. So it can be a thing where he doesn't want to admit that, and then he's putting this on Maggie until he finds that piece that is the final nail in the coffin that proves to him that it was him.
Got it. Okay, so we're rolling with the fact that he thinks the murderer is just straight up Maggie then.
Well, it's a suggestion. If you'd like to, anybody like to make any alternative suggestions, go for it.
I like that because she doesn't necessarily need to end up dead before that point, because there can be that moment where he feels the betrayal, which could be that other level of pain that he has to re-experience.
Okay, yeah, I know, I could see that for sure. Because, at that point he has this bond with Maggie, a close bond, that is then called into question because he believes that she is the one that has done this. Okay, yeah. No, I think that works well.
I think my question is trying to nail, so that we can move forward properly, is let's make a decision on, do we kill Maggie first, Jacob and Ruth first, or have that be a collective event?
Or, you see, I like the idea of the collective event to a certain extent. Like, maybe he goes up there to accuse her and he finds, like, all of them dead.
Supporting characters died. Like,
yeah, of course, yeah. But, like, he goes up to find all of them dead, and then that is some of the things, because he killed them, right? In the real world, he killed the wife and the kids. So he goes up to find them, and then that's the kind of thing, because at that point, he had, like, there's pretty much nobody else in the town other than the sheriff, right? So, like, it kind of implies that he has to somewhat be the killer.
Because I'm even thinking that as the movie goes on, everyone, including minor characters, are just turning up dead. These are just the main people. So at this point, it would just be him and the sheriff is left in the town.
Okay. That
could be the climax of it, is if it's showing how everything is falling apart. There can even be, like his reality is kind of breaking down. Similar to Coraline at the end when the other mother's world is breaking down, something a little bit along those lines. We can always talk about how hard in the paint we want to go on how supernatural it looks. But having that be that thing where finding Maggie, Jacob, and Ruth dead is the final piece of the puzzle, and then after that, that's when he goes to sheriff for the end of the movie.
Everybody has to die. Like it wouldn't make sense.
Well, because everybody's there for a reason.
And the ferryman would be the one person that
he doesn't show up again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't think he's not in the town. Like yeah, okay. And then so for the sheriff, then when he goes, like if there's only a sheriff left, does he go to the sheriff and then try to accuse the sheriff, or does he go to the sheriff and the sheriff explains to him that he like has to repent or not? Are we gonna go in the face at that point?
I don't think it's gonna be that on the nose. I think it's going to be something like, after they are found dead, he goes back to the cabin that we said that he has just outside of the town, and we have that detective scene where he pieces it all together, and it's this big moment of coming to terms with the fact that this is what he has done. Everything points to the fact that, and that's when it can completely click. That's when basically his entire past, we don't even need to see it in a flashback, but his entire past and all of his memories, he suddenly becomes like himself again and is just hit with the weight of everything, having essentially learned his lesson in that way. And that's when we can have that wild last scene where he goes to the sheriff.
Because I think the more important underlying idea there is there's something that he needs to choose, right? Because we don't want it to be on the nose of repent or not, but there's something that he has to make a choice on in order to show that he has made some change. So, I mean, obviously you could go super dark, and then the sheriff, like, he goes into...
And he just does it anyway.
Well, you could do that, or I'm just saying, like, he goes to meet you don't go to, like, a new day, whatever. You go, he goes to see the sheriff, and the sheriff, like, hands him a noose or some shit. You know, like, it can be, like, anything like that. But I do like that type of thing, but it would be pretty jarring to just randomly go...
Oh, and then he hands him a noose, and then it resets he's back until he fucking learns.
That's kind of what it was. Is like, then we kind of, like, he gets handed the noose, it zooms out, you see outside, and then, like, you hear the chair kick from under him or something, and then as we go aerial, you see the buggy come in again for the loop.
Or his house turns into a color.
Yeah, or that type of thing, yep.
Because he killed himself.
Those are two options. Or there is the whole idea, or it could be a thing where he has the option to kill Maggie or the kids, or
murdered the Maggie and the kids in the house. Like, maybe you don't tell the audience. You could fucking really piss off the audience by never telling them you just pull out the panoramic, like the drone shot, and essentially the house becomes colored, but you don't know if he killed himself or he killed the wife and kid. But
yeah, well, mine was that so what mine was is more of like Maggie and them are dead. Like, they're already dead. There isn't a choice of that. It's either he kills himself or he continues to live this fucking horrible existence of a piece of shit, terrible serial killer, right? That is a metaphorical way where he can reset himself of like, no, here's your option. You've done all these things. Yeah, exactly. And then that's the final punishment of like, now you've endured the emotional aspects of losing everybody. Now you have to feel the physical pain of it. That was kind of the underlying idea.
Because the last thing we would have seen before he enters the sheriff's office for this final confrontation would be that all the bodies are still in the street. So in this aerial shot, suddenly you're aware that people are just bustling around like it's totally normal.
Okay.
And we can even have it where it's a different time of day, potentially, from when he had entered, and we have that buggy pulling up. But I was thinking we can even have the sheriff's last words to him when he decides that he's going to like take the noose, or however we want to visualize that. The sheriff can say something ominous like that's one down. I don't want him to be like, one down, 999 more to go. I mean, that's a little too on the nose. But having that's one down, it gives this meaning of people could relate that to purgatory, knowing the 1000 aspect of it.
But something like that could be interesting where you don't have to say it, but because like even like one down, I like it because there's a lot of interpretation that would go into that. But obviously, if you have the underlying idea, you know that's a little on the nose. But for most people, because you don't have the underlying context, yeah, that actually could work pretty well. But yeah, one of those two things.
So Maggie's method of death, then. Let me know if this is too
dark.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat? Go for it.
Dude, let's just rip her heart out.
Okay. That would be pretty baller.
Let's have her like chest cavity just like opened up with her heart like sitting on a table.
Okay. No, I think okay. Yeah, I like the imagery.
I think we've knocked Act 1 and our transition into Acts 2 and 3 out of the park. So I guess next time we will just have to really we got the structure of Act 1. Next time will be the structure of Act 2. If we can get to 3, that's awesome. If not, we're probably going to get sidetracked by a million different things again.
Of course.
And that's just what it's going to be.
No, that's how you write good stories. Yep.
Yeah, you know what?
Well, and also we got a good bit of Act 2 and 3, like a little bit fleshed out here too. But anyway.
Yeah, we got a little bit of that structure out. So what we're going to have to do for next episode is we're going to have to somehow bring sleep paralysis back into the story.
I don't know how we're going to do that.
We got away from that. And we have such like a tightly done story so far. I don't know how we do that without shoehorning it in.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, go ahead. End it off, Tim.
Thank you so much for watching.
Oh my God. I hate you.
We'll see you next time. That's a wrap.
No, it's really not. I fucking despise you.
That's a wrap.
Did you like that?
No, I hated it. What do you mean? Why the would I like that?
Did you see the fact that I actually missed my mouth at first and I just drooled all over the front of myself?